We all know the feeling. You sit down to build a world. You grab a pen and paper, or you fire up Asgard's fantasy map generator. Maybe you use digital mapping programs to draw the maps yourself. They are useful tools. You want to build something that feels like Middle-earth or Westeros, something with weight. But 10 hours later, you have a coastline that looks cool, a list of random names, and a sinking feeling that none of it actually connects. It feels hollow.
Take a deep breath. We can fix this together. It's not your fault. The problem is that you have the ideas locked inside you, but you don't have a way to bring them out. Today, I'm going to show you the method I use. This is how we turn a collection of random ideas into a living, breathing world. I'm going to share with you the design method for our world-building project, the world of Gearthelion. We call it the Hybrid Axiom. Think of it like building a house. You can't hang the drywall before you pour the foundation. But so many GMs try to write culture, the drywall, before they understand the geography, the foundation. This might work for some, but I have a deeper and richer way of thinking about things. And honestly, it's ultimately going to lead to less work for you.
We solve this with two simple tools. Look at these, the Urban Center template and the City Mapping Guide. These are basic fill-in-the-blank templates. No random tables. They ask you to think about your situation. Remember, you already have this inside you. The templates just bring it to the front. This is what I used to describe everything you are about to see. It's that easy. Just two Q&A-style templates. But to use them effectively, you need the logic that powers them. We call it the hybrid stack. Let's break this down into a workflow you can actually use tonight. First, the macroscopic driver. This is about setting boundaries so you don't drown. You don't need to map the whole planet, you just need to establish some boundaries. More than likely, you already have these ideas partially formed. Is this a water world? Are the gods dead? This step is just about establishing the physics of your setting, so you aren't guessing later. You don't have to have all this figured out in one go. The templates and the system itself are adaptable. They are designed so they can grow with your ideas.
Second, the sociological lens. This is where we find the culture. Instead of trying to invent something from out of thin air, look at your map or return to the notes you have already gathered. Ask yourself, how does living next to this mountain range change a person? Geography is destiny. If they live in a desert, they value water. If they live on an island, they value the stars. If they live in a sprawling city, their concerns are different from those who live in rural areas. The land tells you who the people are. Perhaps you already have a culture that needs a home. That is not an obstacle. The templates provide the anchor. Working through them forces the life of the story out of your notes.
Third, the situational foundation. This is the secret weapon. This is how you cure writer's block. We are going to add a few more constraints. These will create conflicts. You define a few hard truths, we call them axioms, that are true everywhere in your world. When you get stuck, you look at your axioms and they decide for you. These aren't going to be the same for everyone or for every situation, but defining them now, in this moment, sets the tone for your answers to the questions in the templates. Think of these as the lenses through which everything in your world is seen. Before we fill out the templates, we need our logic engine. In this step, we define a number of axioms. These are the filters I run every decision through. Again, these are going to be different for everyone. I like to define at least three: a situation, the setting, a historical truth, and a conflict point. These are going to be different for your world, but for my world, here are the axioms I have set. Axiom 1. Pervasive extraplanar influence. The barriers between the worlds are weak and fragile. This is our situation. It means when the template asks about natural hazards, I don't just say bears. I say bears corrupted by shadow magic.
Notice that just this one lens starts to add depth to our world.
Axiom 2. Established race dominance. Elves were here first, but the real racial dominance in this city are the humans. That is our historical truth. When the template asks about ruins, I know they are elven ruins. When it asks about laws, I know they are based on human tradition. The axiom answers the question for me.
Axiom 3. Endemic balkanization. There are no empires. The map is shattered. This answers the political questions. Why is there a wall? Because the neighbors are hostile. Why are there mercenaries? Because there is no standing army. Why can't the traders procure standard routes? Because there is no central authority in the wider region.
And finally, Axiom 4, unceasing migration. The world is a stew, not a melting pot. People are moving. Ideas are flowing back and forth without boundaries. This is our conflict point. When the template asks about population, I know it's not just one race. It's a mix of refugees and locals, creating friction. When it asks about philosophy, I know there is not just one way of living. Differing cultures in my world are constantly interacting and influencing each other.
Once you have these axioms, the real work can begin. Don't think of these constraints as limitations, think of them like guiding principles. We are going to do this in 2 steps. First, we build the container, the region. Then we build the content, the city itself. Step 1. The region. I'm going to take the urban center template and build a region called Telfavalion. This is the sphere of influence that defines why people live here. After filling in my template with the truths of my world, a narrative starts to form.
Telfavalion, the craggy coast, is a land carved by the temper of the sea. Situated on the western edge of the continent, it is defined by what it lacks: safe harbors. Massive cliffs scoured by a violent sea mean there are no deep-water ports. This single geographical fact dictates all life. Wealth does not arrive on the tide, it must be clawed from the earth or dragged overland. The terrain rises from the coast into high upland plateaus and windswept moorlands. The primary industries here are mining, fishing, and subsistence farming. But because there are no harbors, all exports must travel south via a single, arduous overland route. Food is a major import, raw material is the chief export. The population is a tapestry of grit. Coastal humans sing sad songs on their fishing skiffs, while in the fertile highland pockets farmers cling to the old ways. But they are not alone. A significant enclave of dwarven miners also calls the region home, creating a rugged individualism where alliances are fraying. Governance is a constant negotiation. Though a duke nominally rules, daily life is dominated by the guilds. Yet holding the true power are the caravanners, who control the region's economic throat by monopolizing that single overland route. Laws are arbitrated during annual thingers, great assemblies to settle disputes. While the Lord's Guard polices the towns, the wilder coasts are watched by the Loam Watchers, secretive rangers based in a massive northern lighthouse. Faith is another fault line. The farmers' worship of the old gods clashes with the mining gods brought by the dwarves, an industrial faith seen as an affront to the land. The humans once struck a deal with the dwarves to boost production, resulting in formidable Cloigtech-style stone towers, but it is a decision they now regret. Tensions are reaching a breaking point. Merchants hold grudges against the caravanner monopoly. Farmers blame the dwarves for a series of unexplained disappearances in the highlands. And out on the coast, the Loam Watcher's lighthouse has seen suspicious activity. Supplies funneling in, but nothing coming out. The craggy coast is a land holding its breath, waiting for the storm to break.
Take a second. Look at the mechanisms. Where did that conflict originate? It wasn't random. It came from the template asking us about demographics and us applying Axiom 2.
Look at prompt 1, geography. The map shows cliffs. Result, no sea trade. And now look at prompt 2. If they can't trade by sea, they must trade by land. That creates a reliance on caravans. Lastly, look at prompt 3, culture, Axiom 2. We decided elves were the standard, so we made this region a mix of humans and dwarfs to create contrast. The humans farm, the dwarfs mine. Two different economies, two different religions occupying the same space. Result, the region is a powder keg. Step 2. The city. Now that we have the container, the region, we use the city mapping guide to see what kind of city grows in that soil. We call this city Othelsea.
The city of Othelsea, called the Iron Hill, stands as the rugged regional capital of the West. It is a fortress that grew into a city, defined by defensive resilience and the constant smell of salt spray and smelting fires. Perched on a huge flat-topped coastal hill set back from the sea cliffs for safety, Othelsea serves a singular purpose. It is a massive collection hub. With no natural ports on the craggy coast, all the region's wealth, iron, ore, and hardy crafts, gathers here before being shipped south on great overland caravans. This reality makes Othelsea the undisputed linchpin of the West. Should it fall, the kingdom loses its iron supply and the coast becomes vulnerable to invasion. The city's layout reflects its history, built like a great Celtic hill fort, in concentric rings protected by deep earthworks, ditches, and magically reinforced stone walls. At the summit stands the Duke's Keep and the Iron Spire, home to the Spell Sword Academy and its famed Spell Iron tradition, where battle mages learn to fight. Life here is dictated by the westerly wind. Nobles inhabit the clean-aired western slopes, while the eastern side is shrouded in the smoke of the smelters. The population is crowded into tall, narrow timber row houses of a Slavic style. In the middle ring, a large dwarven district thrives, their hammers ringing alongside the rough coastal dialect of the human population. Power in Othelsea is a tangled web. While the Duke nominally rules, holding assemblies on the Moot Hill, the true power lies with the master Caravana. By controlling the city's only trade route, he holds the economy in a chokehold. The city's beating heart is the Dry Docks, a vast plaza in the low ring that looks like a harbor for wagons. Here, the caravan masters relentlessly squeeze the iron smelters guild on transport fees, creating a cold war the Duke is too weak to stop. Even water is power here. With no rivers, the cistern wardens control the rain catchers, holding immense sway during droughts. The spiritual life is just as dramatic. On a jagged promontory sits the Temple of the Crashing Wave, where the dead are consigned to the sea because there is no room for a graveyard. In stark contrast, the center of the low ring is dominated by the Gaping Maw, a massive sinkhole bridged by walkways and used as a dump for refuse and bodies. Now, tension is reaching a breaking point. A student from the Iron Spire has gone missing in the Dwarven district, sparking accusations of stolen secrets. Following violent tempests, the High Priest is demanding a sacrifice to appease the waves. Unnatural sea fogs, tied to the mysterious Loam Watchers, are rolling in thicker than ever, shutting the gates. In the shadows, the Duke's castellan desperately seeks quiet help, while caravan masters look for brave guards. Othelsea feels less like a fortress and more like a trap waiting to spring.
I hope you are starting to see the power of the template system. I didn't pull that out of thin air. The region dictated the city. Because the region had no ports, the city built the dry docks. Because the region has planar bleed, Axiom 1, the city has the gaping maw and the sea fogs. Because the region relies on caravans, the city is ruled by the caravan lords, Axiom 3, balkanization. I didn't have to stress about being creative. I just answered the questions based on the rules we set. We built a powder keg, and we did it in 5 minutes. We set the stage, we created the scene, and then we gave it conflict.
Your world needs rules. Not rules for dice, but rules for reality. When you lock your axioms in, you stop experiencing blank page syndrome. The world starts telling you what belongs where. If you want to see the full breakdown of how we codified these axioms or the templates we used to build Othelsea, they are in the Worldbuilders workbook. But if you want to try this right now, if you want to build a city that makes sense without spending a month on it, grab the City Builders Toolkit in the description. It is designed to guide you through the sociological questions before you draw a single wall. Stop guessing, start building. I hope this system has helped you start to think more about the story you want to tell. Thanks for joining us, and see you next time.